Well, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to a wonderful Saturday evening out here in the DFS streets. College football in full swing. Our producer Steve out there. I told him pre-show, waiting for all those Steve tweets to see what's pissing him off about today's college football slate. I don't follow it too much, but I do follow quite a few of the bets on the scores and odds team today. We got baseball. NFL's right around the corner. It's the golden season, Justin. Your St. Louis Cardinals, there's nothing left to play for. We can turn the page over. I mean, that's been for a few weeks, at least, probably, basically, since the All-Star break. Sorry, Justin, but, we got college football. Football's right around the corner. Lots going on here.
Yeah, that's all right. I haven't had to stress too much in the second half of the season, so occasionally I'll still watch the games and keep an eye on them, but not, throwing anything or getting angry when they lose. And sometimes that has some value too, a little lower stress if we're not in the playoffs or anything like that. So, it'd be nice to see them be good again, but this year's not that year, and we'll just enjoy it for the fantasy and betting elements for the last couple months, and still enjoy the playoffs. So.
And Will, my former prop brother. I mean, we should still be prop brothers, in the streets. We need to talk more, Will, because football is coming up here. This is when I really dig into a lot of stuff. Usually kill football from the betting side. If you're interested in scores and odds and all that, you can find all three of us on there as well. But Will, what's going on? What have you been up to?
Nothing much, man. Doing pretty good. I don't know if you guys know I'm the head coach of a high school varsity basketball team, so that's kept me pretty busy here recently. But I'm having a ton of fun. I'm obviously still propping it, still playing DFS. Just all things sports, man. All things sports.
Yeah, it's a fun time to be alive for sports currently right now. If you like basketball, that's coming up not too far down the future. You got season-long best ball. It's just it's fun, at least for the time being. We'll see how it all plays out as the years progress. But going on tonight, we've got some baseball, and why don't we kind of just jump right into baseball, because it's pretty interesting from pitching. I see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, probably 8 guys you can really consider playing in most lineups, although there's one I'm definitely I have a strong take on one of these guys that's going to be up there today. So I don't know if you want to break down FanDuel to DraftKings, Justin, at all. On FanDuel, if you want to play Logan Gilbert, he's pretty attainable. He's not even the highest priced pitcher on DraftKings, which certainly makes him attainable and should be one of the highest owned over there. You've got maybe a little bit more volatile Tyler Glass now drawing a lot of ownership. Nick Pivetta is in here too. Guys I like Schittler. He looks pretty good tonight against the White Sox. I'm expecting him to have a pretty good game. I almost have him, maybe not up there with the, I guess, consistency of a Logan Gilbert, but I think he has sort of the upside to compete with some of the highest scores tonight. How would you be handling this between the sites? Anything you're interested in doing out here?
Yeah, I don't think the pricing offers too much in the way of differences tonight. I think pretty much playing it's the same on both sites. Obviously, with FanDuel, you only get the one pitcher, but it's not like there's that cheap guy you have to go out and get tonight as your SP2 on DraftKings. The guys that are right, it's Rogers, Pivetta, Glasnow, and Gilbert are the top 4 priced on both sites, with Flaherty and Schlittler, pretty much right behind them. So there's not a whole lot of differences in terms of salary. So Gilbert is my SP1. It's just, you look at the numbers, he's got the highest strikeout rate. He's got the best Sierra, the best xFIP. The ERA is a little bit inflated. He's been a little unlucky at times, but Cleveland is a low power offense. You're not breaking the bank for Gilbert. So if you're spending, it's definitely Gilbert for me. Glasnow, too many walks, not as deep into games. Pivetta would probably be my second choice up there. I'm not, overpaying for Trevor Rogers. I know he's got good numbers, but not a big strikeout guy. So it's Gilbert and Pivetta for me. And then, Schlittler would be right behind. and probably my preferred SP2. Like, I think your cash game pairing, at least for me on DraftKings, is Schlittler and Gilbert, or Pavetta and Gilbert if you're, spending a little bit more. But I think you can do some with that savings. Took a no-hitter into the seventh inning, or may have been a perfect game into the seventh inning, a week ago. Back-to-back 8 strikeout outings. I mean, I think this kid is a future ace. So, I have Gilbert and Schlittler tagged as my options today. If you want to go even cheaper, you can maybe consider a Gavin Williams or something like that. But I'd probably go all the way down and punt with Arrighetti and hope that, the stuff kind of gets back to where it was in previous years. That's probably something, you might want to think about if you're trying to go heavy on the Cubs on DK mainly, where Arrighetti is really cheap. I'm not doing that on FanDuel, but probably not getting down that low in too many lineups tonight.
Yeah, FanDuel, you don't need to go super. I mean, you can get Gilbert. You might not get a full Cubs stack or a Yankee stack, but you can. Arrighetti, I'm out on him completely. I made a single entry team tonight. I'm on the Angels for that one personally tonight. I don't know if Arrighetti's going to draw a ton of ownership. We're only projecting 13.5. I think it might get up a little higher because he is basically the cheapest viable pitcher. But Chief, what are you doing with him? Who's, last season had the strikeout stuff. This season, it ain't there. His fastball, I was looking into it. His fastball velocity is down a little bit, basically like a mile per hour compared to last year. Not getting any swings as misses. His StatCast screen is just, it's horrible. The advanced stuff isn't really good for anything he's done this year. How are you handling him? The Angels, you look on Plate IQ, everyone's got huge strikeout, but his stuff isn't there. I bet the under on is 6.5 because I just haven't really seen it. Do you think he deserves, I thought a 6.5 line was being very, very generous by the books today.
Yeah, I think based on this year's performance, a little bit too high. Smaller sample size than last year, obviously, but still, it's not there right now. The one thing about the Angels, are they going to strike out? Probably, but they got so much power in this lineup. So they do have the strikeout spread, but I think a lot of times we say, yeah, they strike out a ton, but, Adele, Ward, Trout, Moncada, Neto, any of these guys make good contact, get a barrel on it. They got a shot at a home run. So I'm not playing Spencer Arrighetti today for what it's worth. I think if you're on DraftKings, like, to me, I don't know if I want to go past Merrill Kelly today. I don't I really don't think there's a reason for me to go that low at pitcher, with Gilbert at 9,200, Pavetta at 96, Schlittler 85. I think Merrill Kelly and up, I think that's a good enough pool to pick from. Obviously there's always a cheap guy that does a lot better than he should, but generally speaking, I think, between Kelly and up, I think that's the range we need to be in.
Yeah. Card, you didn't even really talk about Trevor Rogers. I noticed in your article today, you seemed like you weren't on him much either. I don't know if I can't bring up the game log. Well, actually, I probably could on Plate IQ over here. Let me see if I can be quick enough to the draw here.
Yeah, it's been really good.
It's good. I want to say that. It's a little hard to read here, but the strikeout stuff isn't always there. I bet the over on his strikeout stuff. So I like the strikeouts. He goes deep. He doesn't give up hits. San Francisco can't hit lefties. Is it just I'm expecting him to have a very nice game today. Like, why do we not want to use him? It's just because he's the highest priced pitcher today?
Well, he's 10-7 on FanDuel. He's 9,800 on DraftKings. That's a lot. And if you put the 2025 strikeout rates for Rogers, Pavetta, Glasnow, Gilbert, and Flaherty, he's the lowest.
I think he's at the bottom. Yeah, I think he's at the bottom. Yeah,
he's the lowest of the 5. There's no doubt. The recent game logs are really, really good. So I'm not going to argue with anybody that wants to play him. I think he's really safe. But he's kind of had a couple, ceiling games in a row, 9 Ks against Houston, 7 Ks against Boston. But if you look, he hasn't had a double-digit strikeout game all year. So that's kind of the cap. I think Gilbert can, if Gilbert has his A stuff, I think has a higher ceiling. I think he's just as safe, and he doesn't cost you as much. So yeah, I'm just leaning towards Gilbert. But if you wanted to play Rodgers, I mean, I've got no qualms with it. We do have him, like, in terms of our projections, we've got him, I think, 4 points lower than Gilbert on DraftKings.
The
And
bat absolutely hates Rodgers today. And I'm on Rodgers against the Giants in a bunch of different ways today. I think I'm always scared to go up against Cardi in the bat, but Rodgers been so good.
Yeah, no, he's been really good for sure.
It's hard for me. To me too. I'm playing Gilbert over Rodgers. I just wanted to bring him up because we didn't really talk about him so much. Will, what do you think about Rodgers?
So I think the value in Rodgers is the matchup, if that makes any sense. I think that's where the value is today. Obviously a team that does have some struggles against lefties, especially at the top of this lineup. The bottom of this order, actually not so much. But, you look at Chapman down to Jung-Hoo Lee, not a lot of power this season. So I think that's where the Wobits are pretty low too for, most of these bets. Mostly everybody's under 300 against lefties. So I think that's where the value is. And he's not walking a lot of guys either, which is also fantastic. So, to me, that's the value. I think he's fine. Like, I don't think he's a bad play. I don't think he has as much raw upside as Gilbert today. But I also think if there's ownership, we should be playing him. Hopefully that makes sense. Like, you think in your mind because of these big performances, everybody should be playing him, but everybody's sharp enough to understand that Logan Gilbert's the best play at 9,200. So taking the extra 600 and playing Trevor Rodgers or playing them together, especially on DraftKings or FanDuel, you're not going to see that too much tonight, I don't think. And I think that's where the value is on Rodgers today, is taking a chance that he has another big game and nobody else decides to play him today. And it's the ownership game for me.
Yeah, I've never seen someone who's been so good, who's not even 10K on DraftKings, get almost no ownership. And I understand that because we have an underpriced Gilbert, Justin. But he's someone I'm up from a sports betting angle. I only wrote up one on scores and odds, but I don't know, probably 10 different ways I've bet this game for Rodgers to have a good game and Baltimore to win a variety of ways and things like that. So I wanted to bring up a talk on him. That's a personal take I have. And looking at the single digit ownership guys, I mean, he's definitely the guy I would want to play. SimLabs is sort of agreeing too as a positive expectation here. SimLabs is also throwing out Assad in cores. Is that something
I think I'm going to play him on FanDuel for what it's worth.
Do you like that?
And I'm not cut you off, Britt. Please forgive me. I'm so sorry about that.
Oh, no
I think I'm going to play him on FanDuel for what it's worth.
Are you talking Rodgers or Assad?
Rodgers. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right. I thought you were talking about Assad. So I'm
No.
big on Rodgers today. Yeah, I like it. I am playing. I'm either playing Schlittler or, oh my goodness, Gilbert on FanDuel. But I just wanted to bring up Rodgers. I do like his upside today, especially at low ownership. These single digit own guys. Anyone you see anything here? Cards to even like mess around, outside of a 150. It's Rodgers for me. I could play Flaherty too, but Rodgers would certainly be the guy. He's expensive, but I don't really like a lot of these low own guys today.
Yeah, no, I mean, outside of Arrighetti, who we still have pretty low, we have him a little higher on FanDuel. Let's see. I have FanDuel up here, so let's go back to DraftKings where the ownership is a little bit higher. So, I mean, even Merrill Kelly, we've got close to 20. So there's probably nobody else that I'm not touching Taj Bradley right now. Like, I suppose Gavin Williams would be a guy you could sprinkle in if you're doing 100 plus, but I don't love that either.
What do you got, Chief?
Nah, I was laughing at John. John said, "Thought you were possessed by the spirit of air." He thought I was playing aside.
It was weird because you cut in and said, I'm playing him on FanDuel right when Britt said, "What about Assad?"
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't know. Even against the Rockies in Colorado, I don't think I'd be.
I mean, the Rockies are like, ninth in the league in WOBA in home games and 8th in ISO. So, like, I know the team is historically bad, but Coors Field is still an equalizer of sorts. And that's, Assad is not a huge strikeout guy, walks, a fair amount of guys. Like, I don't think that's worth it.
Yeah, we'll get to offense in a second. I want the team here, right? Every year before football season, the guys behind the scenes add a couple of things. If you are a premium user and you do use SimLabs, there's a couple of new things you might want to notice on the player filter screens. So you can boost players, you can dock players. It doesn't affect their projection, right? So let's say tonight you were getting 35% Logan Gilbert in whatever you were doing, but you wanted more, you would just boost Logan Gilbert and it would basically give you more Logan Gilbert. Pretty simple to understand. Again, doesn't affect the projection, but just didn't want to point out, I know Jamino and the team have been working on a few things behind the scenes to make SimLabs better, and wanted to point that out to everybody. So big shout out. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that do a lot of work on the technical side, and they deserve just as much credit as some of the faces and articles and all of that fun stuff that you see here at RotoGrinders. All right, let's go to some offense cards. I'll stick with you here really quick. Let's see if I can bring this up on our new SimLabs. All right, so overall ownership tonight. We have a game in Coors, but it doesn't look like it's the highest, and it's on Draftkings. Usually these games aren't on Draftkings today, but we do get to play around with it today. SimLabs is basically telling us it's going to be the Dodgers and the Cubs, a couple other teams too, the Rangers, right? We've got a win game. It's 90+ degrees. There's bad pitching in this game, so it looks like the Rangers are going to be popular. They're cheap. Of these three offenses tonight, they're all basically projected to be owned the same as a stack. Which one would you be most heavily invested in tonight?
Yeah, I'm shocked we have the Dodgers optimal that high. Like, I just don't love targeting the Dodgers against left-handed pitching. Ohtani is really expensive. Freeman's expensive. Mookie's having a terrible year. You got all these guys at the bottom of the order that have pinch hit risk if a righty comes into the game. Like, I discarded the Dodgers as a full stack, in terms of the context of tonight, just because there's so many other options. So SimLabs is telling me that I'm wrong, and I could very well be wrong. So you can all make your own decisions on what you want to do with the Dodgers, but I don't love it. I do like the Cubs, and I do like Texas. I like Texas a lot. That park is just so hitter friendly for power. That Texas stack is really cheap. You look at what they're rolling out there now. It's been a tough year for them offensively, but without Corey Seager, like, everybody except Wyatt Langford is under 4K on DraftKings. You've got a guy that's making his major league debut for the A's and had a 6.10 ERA at AAA, pitching in a hitter-friendly park. So in terms of, making the salary work while still getting in like a Logan Gilbert and maybe a good one-off bat, I like Texas a lot. And, the Cubs are pretty close. Obviously, they'll be popular in Coors Field. But so in terms of my exposure compared to the field, I'd probably go Texas, then the Cubs, then the Dodgers. That's kind of how I'm ranking those three.
Yeah, I'm looking. We don't have a Rangers lineup. As soon as I see it come across, we'll make sure the guys we want to play are in. Chief, what are you doing at the top of these two teams? I kind of agree. Teoscar's someone I like from the Dodgers. I like the righties and Will Smith, but to pay that amount of money, like Card said, for a Freeman, for an Ohtani, I don't know, it doesn't seem like the greatest move today. I understand why the optimal side, because when the Dodgers go off, especially the top of the lineup guys, I mean, they're going to come through and be very, very viable plays today. But what are you doing at the top? And then let's expand to maybe a couple of your other favorite teams.
I'm okay with the Dodgers. I think it's a good spot if you're not playing Coors. I don't think you're going to be able to play the Dodgers in Coors Field. I really like the Cubs today. FanDuel, admittedly, I don't think I'm going to be able to play them on FanDuel for my single entry stuff. I think they're a tad too much. So I'm going to forego talking about the Cubs, which are the obvious team, and then get down to two teams that I really like. That's the New York Yankees and the Houston Astros. I actually really like those two teams quite a bit from a stack perspective. I'm big on plate IQ, and so when I look at a guy like Kyle Hendricks, I know he's had some games where he's been a magician, but I mean Houston very low strikeouts, not as much power in this lineup, and I know Jordan's coming back and hasn't really hit the ball well, but I just think this team just has such low strikeouts that they will be able to put the ball. He played quite a bit against Hendricks today, or at least I hope so. And then when I look at the Yankees, who I think the Yankees have a touch more upside than Houston, obviously, against Shane Smith here. Shane Smith really struggling against lefties the past 30 days. The ISO is up quite a bit to 240. Woba's up to 356, and has struggled with lefties this season with ISO of 191 and a Woba of 326. So these lefties of Grisham, Rice, Bellinger, Jazz, Austin Wells, McMahon at the bottom, Dominguez. I think Shane Smith has a really tough time with this Yankees lineup. I love Aaron Judge. I'm going to fade Aaron Judge in my Yankee stacks to play all lefties. And I'm going to make Shane Smith beat me. And if he does, then I'll wipe my hands of it. But I like the New York Yankees lefties quite a bit today, top to bottom.
Cards, you got a team down here. Mine would probably be, again, the Angels against Arrighetti, at least from a tournament perspective. If the Angels are reasonably low owned and Arrighetti is somewhat owned, you kind of get a synergy there. I probably like that, and don't like really the Tigers in Detroit too often, but I could certainly see playing them tonight. The A's, they're probably the A's lineup. I don't think. Oh yeah, the A's lineup's out, and Kurtz is out. I mean, it doesn't look great, but they still play in the same park, even against Merrill Kelly. Still 90 plus degrees with the wind blowing out a little bit today. Nobody's playing them. The Twins just, still have a reasonably good offense. I thought they were overrated. Maybe they're not. Maybe they are a reasonably good offense, even with some of these younger guys up here. You got a favorite team from these ones?
Yeah. Regrettably, my other favorite that we haven't talked about yet is Houston. I don't love targeting Houston against right-handed pitching, but they at least have Jordan back, so that helps. And Kyle Hendricks, isn't going to throw the ball by anyone. And we've got every Houston bat outside of Alvarez at single-digit percentage ownership, and they are projected for 5.3 runs. So that's definitely the team that I'm the most overweight on, outside of those top 3 or 4 squads tonight. So don't mind some exposure to the Yankees and Tigers as well. But Houston would be the other team that I would highlight. It's all going to come down to BABIP luck for Kyle Hendricks, and with Jordan back and Walker's hit a few more bombs of late. Yeah. Altuve, Pena, at least they've got a little more depth now. Sanchez is back. So Sanchez and Jordan from the left side will at least make the offense a little bit more viable against a righty.
Yeah,
I love Houston. They're cheap today too on FanDuel. Love Houston.
Sounds like all three of us on board with the Houston stacks. All right, so that's going to do it for just general offense. I want to tell you guys about Fantasy Labs. If you're still looking for best ball or season-long fantasy football content, you can get access to articles and more from award-winning experts like Sean Kerner and Chris Rebon. There's an app that allows you to get real-time rankings, cheat sheets, and lineup advice on the go. You can sign up with code RG15 for $15 off. The Action app is also pretty good if you want to tail a couple people over there from sports betting. Lots going on over Fantasy Labs /Action. All right, let's get into some position by position. Let me move around our wonderfully new colored dark theme dashboard. Nice job on the team, by the way. On the redo, it looks much better in my opinion. Let's go to, I know, I'm going to get there, guys. Catcher. Will Smith, high owned cards, I think for good reason. Probably, he should be the highest price catcher on DraftKings tonight, and he's not. You can see why the ownership is going to him. Normally, we like to punt some, punting catcher with a 2 to 3K catcher. It's pretty bleak today. And there are a couple other options to save salary today. You can save it at pitching. You can save it at a couple other positions. I don't usually like the 4K plus catcher builds, but it looks pretty good today.
Yeah, I think if you're looking to spend at this position today, it's okay. You can play Ben Rice here too. That has a lot of value on DraftKings with the lefties for the Yankees that Chief talked about. getting to play Rice at catcher on DK, and Will Smith is the one Dodger that I don't mind taking at his salary against a left-handed pitcher. You got Hunter Goodman, Langoliers. I mean, we know these are guys with power that are going to be lower owned tonight. So all those guys are spend-ups at catcher that we wouldn't normally consider as, it tends to be a position where you go for the 3K guy or, whoever's the best value or whoever's in your stack or something like that. But I do like that trio, Goodman, Rice, Will Smith tonight. If you are looking to go cheaper, it's maybe a Yainer Diaz or Austin Wells, but I just don't think you have to go cheap at the position tonight, given the context of the slate. If you do, Diaz and Wells are both 3,500, so that's a reasonable salary savings. I presume Chief likes the Yankees lefties, so you could put Wells in there, but it's tough to, most people that are playing a Yankee stack would probably rather spend the extra 1,200 and get Rice. Though I guess you could just play Wells at catcher and then play Rice at first if you wanted to do that. So. Yeah, it's an interesting night where you can take a couple different approaches at catcher. I am probably, sticking with that mid to upper 4K range for most of mine.
What do you like catcher, Chief? To me, spending up looks good. You can see on SimLabs some of the optimals. I know Chief mentioned Langoliers, but Kel Raleigh. How do you not want a guy with all those home runs? Hunter Goodman, basically all the guys Cards was talking about. Are popping on SimLabs as some of the most optimal tournament plays.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if it's me, if I'm any 5-man stacks, I'm probably gonna get to Wells because he's 3,500, and then I'll get Ben Rice at first. I'm almost positive that's how I'll play it. So I like that combination of being able to get those 5 Yankees in there. I think that's incredible value there. I'm fine with Langoliers, but I probably like Merrill Kelly a little bit more than the A's today, so I'm not gonna play the A's as much. Carson Kelly down here in the 7 hole at 4,500. If you're trying to maybe kind of get a little bottom of the order, get some cheaper Cubs. I mean, I think he's a fine play against Brown. Yeah, but those are my main guys. Mostly playing FanDuel tonight, so I don't have to worry about it as much. But I still will have some Ben Rice and Austin Wells for sure.
All right, let's go to first base. You see basically 3 guys taking Luis Arraez. I don't definitely not him. But I'd be going with a couple of these other guys. Michael Busch is probably my target cards. He's someone I'm making a priority, a leadoff hitter on the road in Coors. I mean, what more do you want? I know guys like Tucker and Pete Crow Armstrong have sort of, they had a really great start to the season. They sort of tailed off. But Busch is someone at the top of the lineup, at 5,100 on DraftKings and just 3,600 on FanDuel. I mean, he's a priority for me. Do you find yourself trying to get him in a lot of your lineups today?
Yeah, I would agree. He's the priority spend probably on the entire slate for me. And if I had to, somebody's trying to figure out like who are the Cubs you want to prioritize, it's Busch and Suzuki for me because they both have really strong ISO numbers against right-handed pitching. Pete Crow Armstrong's been a mess. Tucker's really expensive and has kind of been a mess as well. I know he's played a little bit better lately, but yeah, Busch and Suzuki are the 2 Cubs that I want to try to prioritize in my lineups, either as one-offs or if you're in cash games. I think you definitely play Michael Busch at first base, because if you're playing Rice again, and like in cash games, you can play him at catcher. I'm not paying the premium individually for Ohtani tonight. Arias, Kike Hernandez, like it's just a big old no thanks kind of for me. So my favorite tournament guy is going to be Walker. Again, we like his power better generally against lefties, but I'll make an exception against a soft tossing righty like Hendricks. So Michael Busch is definitely the priority here. Christian Walker would be my favorite tournament pivot. And not a deep pool for me at first tonight. Don't love this position quite as much as we would on some other slates.
Yeah, refresh to get some more current ownership up there today. And Ohtani, I mean, SimLabs just loves the RotoGrinders projection must be sky high on Ohtani tonight for him to be pushing.
It just likes the Dodgers. SimLabs loves the Dodgers tonight, so I'm not agreeing with that, but I've learned not to fight with the tech. So I tend to be wrong more than the tech does if I do that. So
Has
we'll disagree.
Has AI hit you in the real life job yet, Justin? You still have a job; it hasn't taken over for you yet.
It's automating some things for sure, but yeah, it's coming everywhere, no matter what job you're in.
What about you? I know you're probably on Rice here. Will anybody else? Someone, Christian Walker, horrible start to the season. I don't know if he was like hurt for half the year. These guys who, they just underperform. Maybe it's averages. Maybe they're just the case that, hey, we had the bad streak for half the season, and now we're starting to hit again. We all like Houston. He's someone I'd be targeting in tournaments tonight. I love Michael Bush. I love Rice. I'm sort of in the Justin camp, out on Ohtani at the price tag, lefty. Where do you stand, Will?
Well, I'm trying to just avoid the Cubs guys. I think those guys are just obvious in this spot. Going to garner a fair amount of ownership anyway. So obviously I'm going to play Ben Rice. I think Ryan O'Hearn and Christian Walker are my two cheaper guys, if you will. Ryan O'Hearn, played really well for the Orioles, and now he's out there in San Diego. And, I think this is a pretty good spot for them against Taj. Taj has not had a great season, has had his struggles with left-handed hitters this year. So Ryan O'Hearn is just a professional hitter, man. So wanting to mention him at 3,500 on DraftKings, really cheap price for him, and what I think is a good spot for these San Diego bats. So I didn't mention them in terms of my top two stacks because my top two are Houston and the Yankees, but I do like San Diego as kind of a middle of the road 1A, if you will. So I don't want to say middle of the road, above average stack today. Let's call them 1A. Really like them. So Ryan O'Hearn makes the list for me big time.
All right, let's go to second base. Interesting overall. So there's a couple, on FanDuel, you can play Josh Smith at shortstop, third base, second base, first base, or outfield. That is literally everything, right?
Yeah, it's everything because you don't need a catcher. So
it's everything on FanDuel, which is a little ridiculous. On DraftKings, he is just second
base and outfield.
Just second base and outfield. And then Nico Herner got, we were expecting him a little lower on the lineup. He's hitting fifth today. So he's got a nice lineup spot. I think I'm finding myself I like Altuve more so on FanDuel than DraftKings, a little bit too expensive over there. So I think I'm going with the good player on FanDuel and maybe a guy like Josh Smith at 3,500, as long as he makes the lineup, which we don't have yet. Still waiting on the Rangers lineup. Nothing I really love, Justin. How are you handling this? It's more site specific for me today.
Yeah, it's not a spectacular position tonight for sure. So if you're, doing a lineup where you're kind of building by hand or whatever, I don't mind filling in this spot last. Probably if I'm playing Josh Smith on FanDuel, where you can literally play him in any position, this is where I would put him. And it is one of his natural positions. So, yeah, on DK, he's kind of landing as my second base. I mean, I mentioned I like the Rangers against the A's. Rookie making his major league debut, assuming Smith's leading off, could be looking at 5 or 6 at bats tonight, depending on how Texas does. I don't mind Nico Horner, but now he's going to be a little higher owned because he's hitting fifth and the guy has no power. So don't mind building some Cub stacks without him, and pivoting to a Josh Smith or even pivoting to Tyler Freeman. Actually, I would probably like doing that. Build a Cub stack and play Tyler Freeman on the other side of that game out of the leadoff spot. Or Gleyber Torres, is another guy you can maybe pivot to as a lower owned second baseman. But yeah, this position is relatively ugly tonight. You could punt all the way down to a 2K Michael Massey on DraftKings if you wanted to. Not that I love picking on Flaherty, but sometimes if that 2K hitter makes the rest of your lineup work, I don't think that's a crazy idea. You could spend all the way up for Altuve. I don't mind just trying to get a different school of thought at this position if you want to, simply because a guy that gets a double and a home run, could very easily be the highest scoring player at this position. But Josh Smith gets the tag for me. He's probably the guy following falling into my second base spot in most of my lineups, again, pending the confirmation when that Texas lineup does come out.
Yeah, the trio here of Herner, Smith, and Freeman, the no power zone. So there's a little bit, but all three of them very low on the power scale. So you need a couple other things to go good for him today. Chief, I would imagine you're probably on Jazz down here, maybe spending up a little bit to get a little different. You see he's popping in the optimal on the SimLabs on the third column here as a good positive play. If you had to pick, it's hard because they're all, I think on FanDuel, they're a little bit closer in price. Is Nico, is he second base on FanDuel as well?
I believe so.
Yeah. So how much is he? I know. So Nico.
Yeah, let me check.
Nico's 33.
Yeah.
Altuve,
Jack is like 37, 38, somewhere up in that 36.
You got over
maybe.
there. It's a little bit different. Altuve's 32.
Altuve's 32, right? That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I'm on Altuve personally. I think I would play Nico if I had 100, but I'm not going to blow up my whole lineup just for that.
Yeah, me either. It's Altuve or Jazz for me on FanDuel, for what it's worth.
All right, let's go to third base, where the aforementioned Josh Smith is probably not on Draftkings, but in FanDuel you can play him everywhere. So I'm looking at third base. I was looking at the bat. The bat likes Matt Chapman, but I'm anti all Giants tonight against Rogers. I think Rogers going to have a lights out performance here tonight. So if you're not on that, with the split advantage for him, there's no one you really want to play. Colt Keith is leading off. Not the greatest hitter, but on the road in Kansas City, 3,600. He fits a lot of lineups, I think, on DraftKings today. You can see that's sort of pushing his ownership up as well. You've got Josh Young, reasonably priced too. I think he's in there. A guy like Moncada, probably not on unless you're basically like full stacking the Angels today. Basically, cards, I don't really want to play anybody, so it's like one of the last positions I'm filling in. Okay, going cheap as well.
Yeah, this position's really ugly today. I tagged Young just because I am still kind of a believer in his talent. He's cheap, and I like Texas a lot, and third base is horrible. So, okay, we'll put Josh Young in there. I don't mind Colt Keith leading off, but again, there's just not a whole lot to the biggest upside guy at the position is probably Machado in a risk reward type of matchup. Plus, he's kind of pricey, so I'm really neutral on most guys at this position tonight. A tough matchup for Jose Ramirez, so he's probably out. But I don't mind going to a Mercado, who you mentioned, Kyle Karros even. Like, I kind of like the Rockies, I think, a little bit more than usual tonight. Assad has a career walk rate that's close to 10%. Again, we know the Rockies can still score runs occasionally at home, so they're not going to be massively popular compared to if we take Coors games 2-3 years ago. And third base is just ugly. So Kyle Karros, I'll be overweight on in GPPs. Probably Josh Young in cash games or Colt Keith, but it's an ugly position tonight.
Would you rather Keith or Young, assuming he makes the lineup hitting fifth or something like that?
I prefer. I'm just on Texas so much tonight. I think it's such a positive park shift that Young gets the nod for me, but it's close.
All right, Will, what do you got? Who do you got between those two? I think that's a decision a lot of people have to make tonight. So, what are you looking at, and then anyone else at the position?
Give me Keith. I do think Detroit's pretty good. Give me Keith. I like Manny Machado. Like I said, I mentioned San Diego being kind of sneaky. I like them. Obviously, I like Carlos Correa. ISO isn't great for Correa right now this season against righties, but against Hendricks, I'm willing to eat some of that. If you want to get different, Willie Castro down here at the bottom of this Cubs order, if they turn this line over a couple times, he's got a shot. I mean, we've seen this before, Brett. We kind of gravitate to the 1 through 5 or 6 guys, and then 7, 8, 9 tees off today. So I don't mind Willie Castro for 4,100 in this spot against Brown. Switch hitter too, so doesn't matter who's out there. He should have his chances. So like him quite a bit. Then Same thing, Ryan McMahon, and I know this is scraping the bottom of the barrel here, but he's also out here, another lefty against Mr. Smith. I don't mind him either. But once again, if I'm going up top, it's Machado for me against Taj. It's Correa, and then Colt Keith. I think is the best cheap option in my book. And then from there, we get to the bottom of the order guys in good spots like Castro and oh God, what's the other guy at the bottom? Castro and McMahon.
Yep. All right, so we're gonna have a little bit of time, I think, at the end of the show. Maybe I can give you guys some football bets. We've got football coming up around the corner. Maybe a couple baseball bets as well.
Boy, that's because that's a fast break. We used to have a show to talk about this stuff on like Tuesday to get everybody rolling.
I'm turning scores and odds into my own personal sports betting app, it seems like. So you can go over there. I got a bunch going on over there. I'll give you some more. Get the likes up for us if you could. Click that. I'll try to throw you a better too at the end of the show here. Cards. I don't want to play Mookie Betts, but I don't want to play anybody at shortstop. And he's reasonably cheap with the splits against Rodriguez. I don't know. It's like him or like it's between him or Tovar for me. And I think I want to play Mookie Betts, and maybe this is like a day that he has a good one. I don't really want to play anybody at their prices. Guys I like would be like a Neto and a Pena, but they're just too expensive, I think, for their overall spot and talent on DraftKings today. Just another we need what? What do we need? We need more Michael Bushes and more Texas players, and these aren't the positions we
the middle infield spots are rough today for whatever reason. And all these guys are good, but you look at it's a tough pitching matchup for Bobby Witt. It's expensive salaries for some of the other guys, but I'm probably leaning towards some of those guys, like a Gunnar Henderson against Seymour, or a Neto against Arrighetti, or a Pena against Hendricks in GPPs, just because like there is absolutely nothing in Mookie Betts' splits or overall numbers for this year that warrant him being 23% owned against a lefty. Like, and even in his career, like when he was at his peak, he was never a guy that was elite for a right-handed hitter, a guy that was elite at hitting lefties. Like, I understand the logic behind it because, again, the computer metrics like the Dodgers quite a bit tonight. I've fought that throughout the show here. So it's I am obviously underweight on Mookie Betts. I think that the optimals are going to tell you that Mookie Betts is the cash game play at shortstop tonight. I would rather pivot to Tovar, Witt, Henderson, Pena, any of those guys in tournaments I think are viable.
What do you like, Chief? You can see the optimal minus the good play, bad play that SimLabs is putting up basically says Mookie Betts is like the worst play tonight because he is going to be so highly owned. What do you do with him if he is so high owned? And then what are you doing at the position overall?
I mean, he's cheap. I think the name value of Mookie is what is driving people to keep playing him. Similar to, do you guys remember a couple years ago when several years ago, let me say that, when Giancarlo Stanton was with the Marlins and he started plummeting to like 3,800, 36, because he just couldn't hit the baseball. Like, you guys remember that?
Yep.
I mean, it was insane. And I think that's what we're kind of seeing with Mookie here. His name value has kept his price propped up, but hasn't been great this season. With that being said, the ownership's at 23%. I just think we could do better with hitters in better spots. So if Mookie was 5% owned or something, I think at that price, obviously you take more shots. But in this particular case, I do like these other guys better, like Pena, Neto, Tovar, any of these guys. So I think Mookie's going to get left out in the cold for me, which also means he's going to hit 2 home runs today.
We still have no Texas lineup. I've got an alert set. As soon as I see it cross, I will get it to you. But still not having it. I don't know if it is the last game of the night. So reasonably standard, but hopefully they're not doing anything to take some of these players that we want to use out of our lineups today. All right, let's go to the outfield cards, and we'll get to your questions. You can start posting questions in YouTube or in the RotoGrinders Discord live stream chat. We will get to them in just a minute. So I kind of agree where SimLabs is saying the ownership. Jordan, both sites, too cheap. He hasn't had a lot of hits because the eye's good. He's getting a lot of walks, which walks aren't great for fantasy unless he scores some runs. But I don't know. He does. His one hit is the home run. I think I'm okay playing him. If he didn't have the home run, maybe not. But with the home run mixed in with a good eye so far, I'm okay playing Jordan today. Suzuki, probably my priority of the Cubs in the outfielder. If I was looking to play somebody, he's the cheapest, I believe, on both sites. And then we have like a couple of cheap plays you might need. We've got like a Jock Peterson. A Mickey Moniak is someone I'm looking at from Colorado today. He's just 3,600 in the outfield. So do you want to play like a couple of these like cheap? Would you rather play like Moniak or Garcia, Justin? This is like a question, not so much on FanDuel, but maybe more on Draftkings. They're reasonably priced today. Are you going with some of these cheaper Texas guys, or are you trying to maybe get Cubs and Coors games and things like that?
Yeah, well, I tagged Moniak today, so I got to stand behind that. I like him. I'm big time power metrics against righties this year, so I like Texas a lot as a stack. Individually, though, I think Moniak brings you fine upside as a one-off play, even if you're not stacking the Rockies. And for all as poor as the last 2 or 3 positions that we talked about were, the outfield kind of makes up for it. You want to play like 6 or 7 outfielders as opposed to 3 outfielders in all those middle infield positions. So you got Alvarez. I mentioned earlier that Suzuki is my other priority for the Cubs. I tagged Moniak. The Texas guys are all really cheap, except for Langford, who, projects the best of the bunch. Jock Peterson against a guy making his major league debut. Like he can still, when he makes contact, it can still go a long way. Even the A's outfielders at lower ownership on the other side of that game, a Butler, a Soderstrom, I think are fine. Teoscar Hernandez, maybe the other Dodgers bat that I don't mind taking tonight. Not to mention, Kolek has really struggled against left-handed bats. So you've got Riley Green, you've got Kerry Carpenter for Detroit. So the Yankees guys like Chief touched on Grisham earlier when we talked about stacks, and obviously Judge is there. So there are so many options in the outfield that you shouldn't have trouble filling them. I think on FanDuel, you're definitely playing 4 outfielders tonight and putting 1 in your utility spot. Definitely a good position to spend up for a couple guys tonight.
Rank, maybe factor in price. I think it's pretty similar across all 3 sites. The Rangers outfielders, Wyatt, Garcia, Jock, assuming they all 3 make the lineup, factor in the price. What's your order of playing them today?
Yeah, probably the most exposure to Peterson just because he's so cheap, particularly on DraftKings. His salary has a little bit more value over there compared to FanDuel. Like on FanDuel, I'd probably put Langford first, but on DraftKings, I'd probably go Peterson, Langford, Garcia. But pretty similar. They're all projecting for literally about the same ownership too.
Yeah, I think I'd go Peterson, Garcia, Langford based on price, but you can play. I don't think I have 2. You're probably going to end up with 2 of them on your FanDuel, like a Cassius type team. And even in tournaments, you're probably going to end up with, at least one of these guys if you have a one-off in the outfield or utility spot on FanDuel today. They're just in too good of a spot. Will, you're probably on. We got the Yankees. They're not really even showing up here until we keep scrolling down a little bit today. You're probably a little higher on them. Do you have a preference of what's your favorite Cubs bat? What's your favorite Ranger bat?
For me, it's usually Tucker. I just, I love low strikeouts, big power. So Kyle Tucker for me. If it's the Rangers, it's most. I think it's going to be between. Because Jock's been not great this year. I'm not as high on the Rangers. So I'm okay with the Dallas Garcia based on the numbers, but I'm not high on them today. I like Detroit better for what it's worth. So Detroit's outfield is probably my sneaky outfield. Carpenter, Riley Green, even though he's got high strikeouts, really good power there. Perez, really like those guys. Same thing for San Diego in terms of their outfield. Tatis, Laureano, Gavin Sheets. I think Taj just hasn't had the stuff this year. So really like him. Obviously Houston, obviously the Yankees. Those are my top ones. The Houston and the Yankees are my top two. San Diego behind them. Detroit behind them. I feel like the Cubs are obvious. So I'm not mentioning the Cubs, but the Cubs are the obvious stat, I think.
Yeah, like of course the Coors Field fits in here nice. Rangers, your cheap stack. I'm looking at some of the optimal minus projection cards. Of course, it's got Ohtani, just one of the craziest numbers I've seen all season over there. So if that's true, Ohtani's going to go bananas tonight. But I even see, Aaron Judge is normally on the opposite side of this, because people are playing him. But I know Chief said that he was fading Aaron Judge and playing the lefties. If other people are doing that, I mean, Judge had
I don't think they're doing it though.
Yeah, SimLabs is saying they are. Like, not
really?
enough people are playing Aaron Judge. He's only projected for like 6% owned, right? Because you think about it, right? You've got the Cubs, you've got Texas that's cheap, you've got maybe a Colorado guy or two, you got Ohtani, Teoscar. Like, where are you going to play Judge tonight? So I think that's why he's popping on SimLabs. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, I don't hate that logic for sure. It's so many spendy outfielders tonight, only so many places to throw those dollars. So I don't think it's a factor of people loading up on the lefties for the Yankees. I just think it's the Yankees aren't going to be super highly owned, period, just because there are so many different good outfield spots tonight.
Chief, someone you were mentioned earlier, players who couldn't hit a ball. So remember Chris Davis, $400 on FanDuel. Remember that goodie?
Oh man, yeah. And that was not a misprice. They did it on purpose.
Do you take the zero on purpose and spend it elsewhere? Because it's like you get a bonus salary compared to everybody else. That was a fun day. Let's see what we have for some questions here. I'm in the live stream chat. Let's see here. I see Terps asking Carpenter, Sanchez, or Walker for FanDuel cash today. So none of those guys are like on my radar for FanDuel cash cards. What would be your choice if you had to pick between? It'd probably be Kerry Carpenter for me, or maybe Sanchez. But those guys are like second, third tier, fourth tier cash game plays.
Yeah, I mean, I like Walker a lot for tournaments, but I wouldn't touch him in cash games. Carpenter would be my official answer if I'm picking amongst that group.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking to see the guys on that. Like Teoscar is only 100 more. Grisham is only 100 more. Alvarez is only 300 more. So I'm presuming you're kind of stuck at that salary because there isn't much at like 3,100. Though it must be a utility spot if they threw Walker in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
It must be a utility spot for 3,100. But I mean, I think you can play Carpenter. That's fine.
Yeah, I see producer Steve said, and I was just going to say this too. So Steve and I think alike, don't know if that's good or bad, but we have 69 likes. Let's get a couple more. I was going to say 75. I'll get you some NFL bets, so I'm not going to raise it, but Steve wants you to get to 100. So if you can click that would be great. DFS Dre wants to know, Teoscar or Altuve, last spot on FanDuel. These are guys I love tonight, Justin. How do we break that spot?
Probably Teoscar for me.
I would probably say Teoscar too. It's two. Teoscar against a lefty that's not great is one of the best hitters in baseball. If he faced a mediocre lefty every night, he would be in the Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that in baseball. But yeah, I'd probably go Teoscar on that one here. Moki wants to know, we got here late, Justin. He wants a recap of your favorite cash pitchers on DraftKings. Maybe give everybody a minute or two on what we're doing there.
Yeah. So the combo on DraftKings for cash games is probably some combination of Logan Gilbert, Nick Pivetta, and Cam Schlittler for me. Gilbert is definitely my favorite choice. Like his K prop is 6.5 with the over at like minus 150. 34% strikeout rate on the year. Cleveland's a low power lineup. Gilbert's cheaper than some of the other options at the top. So if you need to save a little bit with your second guy, I'd say go Schlittler. Otherwise, you could go Gilbert Pivetta. Our projections have Gilbert at 40% owned, Pivetta at 34, Glass now at 34. So I'm a little lower on Glass now. I wouldn't play Glass now in cash. I think Trevor Rogers is okay as a tournament pivot. And somebody in the chat also brought up, by the way, I thought this was a great point. So shout out to whoever it was. 7:15 start in San Francisco is 4 p.m. local time. And the Giants usually don't start games at that time, right? If you have an afternoon game, it's usually like 1 o'clock local time, or you have like a 7 p.m. local time start. It's a TV scheduling thing. And that's 4 o'clock local time in San Francisco. And I remember watching a previous game that started at that time slot in San Francisco, and the shadows are nuts. So I probably like Trevor Rogers a little bit more now after reading that, because if there's shadows between the pitcher's mound and the batter's box in San Francisco, it's pretty tough to hit. So shout out to whoever that was that brought that up in chat. That did not come from my memory, but I was happy that somebody brought that up. So yeah, I'm going Gilbert Schlittler. I think probably no need to go mega cheap tonight. I don't trust completely going all the way down to like an Arrighetti until we start to see something from him. So I'm not doing that.
I've got like a 2010 Corolla on the Orioles in one shape or another, and Trevor Rogers gonna add like a 1995 Kia into the mix on that one for some strikeouts. So we'll get some more with the shadow. We'll pray the shadows work out. I'll buy into it for this one here. Let's see. Smith or Moncada, third base for cash on FanDuel. I'd probably go Smith, assuming he makes the top of the lineup, which we still don't.
Yeah, what are they doing? Come on, they need to get their lineup out here. It's Saturday night. We got things to do.
Yeah, come on. But assuming Smith makes the top of the lineup, Smith over Moncada. Pretty easy, right?
Yeah, I think Smith is the choice there.
All right. Will, Padres or Astros stack for DraftKings single entry?
Oh, Astros. Padres secondary, though, for sure.
All three of us like the Astros pretty good today. There's a college football question for you, Cards. We'll get to that one in a little bit if I just don't see anything else on here. Let's see. People like
going down, guys, by the way.
Yeah, I saw. I don't follow college football. So you brought it up. Alex wants to know, Cards. He wants to know, he needs to pair with Simmons, Klubenik, Reed, or Maivia.
Yeah, so that would be quarterback choices. So I like Marcel Reed tonight, dual threat guy. They're projected for about 40 points in a game that should be at least somewhat competitive. So yeah, give me Reed.
Don't see any more baseball questions. So if you guys want to keep putting them in, we will answer them. I think the show's supposed to end at 7:10. If there's no more questions in a few minutes, we'll probably cut it out early. But I told you guys to hit the like button. You guys hit it enough for me. I want to give you guys probably my favorite bet that's still on the board for football. Chief, I don't know if you've dug in any props. Maybe you can. Have you dug in any NFL props yet, Chief?
Nah, I admittedly, Britt, because of this basketball, man, I've been late to the party on a lot of picks. I have not.
All right. Well, let me tell you, the best lines are long gone. So I bet some things. There's been some crazy line movement on some of these, but here's the best one I got for you. And I'll screen share it for you, Steve. If you want to bring it up, the screen share back up, I'll pull up scores and odds real quick. You need to go to your FanDuel.com sportsbook, and you're going to go to the Lions game, and you are going to bet both. You can do a same game parlay, but I like this separately. You can bet the Lions running backs to score some touchdowns. Let me see if I can do this without. Give me just a second, everybody. Here, I think that should be big enough for everybody to read. So David Montgomery's up to plus 155 to score on FanDuel. Jahmyr Gibbs, he was even money. He's at minus 105. So essentially, you're betting each of them individually to score a touchdown on FanDuel. you'd bet if you're betting $100, $100 unit better, you would bet 105 on Gibbs to win 100. You would bet 100 on David Montgomery to score. Essentially, you're free rolling if they score. If one of them scores a touchdown, you're essentially free rolling the other one to score. They both scored 7 times last year, and they both didn't score. Neither scored just once. So it's very heavily favored. I know the Packers got Micah Parsons, and I know the Lions are going to take a little bit of a step back, but like Gibbs should be like, if I was pricing these, Gibbs should be like minus 170, and Montgomery should be closer to even money probably if I was a sports book. So this is one of the better bets out there. You can same game parlay them for like a plus 400 like that as well. So that's one of my football bets that's going out there for the people. Cards, anything you like for week 1 football? I don't know if you're doing much football content, but what do you like? What do you like for week 1?
Yeah, just the college these days. So I don't dip into the NFL content too much. But if you guys want a college pick, I do like Miami tomorrow. So with this being a holiday weekend, there's like Sunday and Monday college football. So there is a Sunday night game in Miami with Notre Dame going into Miami with a freshman quarterback. And frankly, I think Notre Dame is generally a bit overrated. They tend to be a public side. So, everyone bets Notre Dame and their lines tend to be inflated, particularly in the early part of the season. Maybe they have a little bit more talent on defense, but you got a freshman quarterback on the road against a Miami team that's got a veteran quarterback and at home. I believe Miami's catching a couple points too. The odds are pretty even, but I like Miami to win that game tomorrow night against Notre Dame. I have not looked at a darn thing for NFL week 1 other than what you've just told me, Britt, so I can't opine on that too much.
Open up your FanDuel account and go bet those.
I got you. Right after the show, I'll get on that. But yeah, Miami tomorrow in college football if you want a Sunday night football sweat for the final time before NFL Sunday night football hits. I like that one tomorrow night.
Yeah, make sure there's a whole lineup of football shows as usual. Sunday mornings will be packed, but there's the usual stuff all throughout the week as well. A couple more questions have come in for baseball. We'll answer those, and then we'll probably get on out of here. Let's see. A 3 maxing on FanDuel. Gilbert, Pavetta, and Schlittler. Does that sound like 3 good pitchers to you, Justin?
Yeah, I think if I was doing a 3 max on FanDuel, I'd probably do 1 lineup with each of those 3, or maybe 2 with Gilbert. But yes, I think that's fine.
The best hitter, if you had to pick your favorite hitter of the night, Chief, I'll go with you. Who's your best bat of the night?
Man, that's tough, Britt, because I like quite a few bats tonight. Give me Cody Bellinger.
I'm going to go with someone who I think you got to have on your teams tonight. That's Michael Busch at first base. Who do you got, Justin?
Yeah, I like Michael Busch as well. That's who I was going to throw out there.
All right, so we'll go with that here. Let's see. Teoscar fine as a one-off. Yeah, like Teoscar, absolutely. Like Teoscar's like on the verge of a cash game play to me. I don't think most people would play him, but against Rodriguez, that matchup looks really juicy to him. And I mean, the upside for him against a lefty is close to unmatched from almost anybody out tonight. So I would be absolutely fine playing Teoscar. John wants to know in YouTube, DraftKings cash cards. I'll throw this to you. 2 outfielders, Happ, Suzuki, Jordan, Grisham, Teoscar, and Langford. So basically you've got your lay of the land there of those mid to highest tier outfielders. Who you got?
Yeah, give me Suzuki and Jordan.
I would agree with you on that one. Let's see, feature in YouTube. Let's see, DraftKings single entry. Chief, I'll throw this one to you. Schlittler with Jazz and McMahon, or Gilbert with Machado and Cronenworth. So you want Yankees all around, or you want Gilbert with some Padres?
Give me Schlittler.
Yeah, give me the Yankees all around there tonight. Gilbert, so this is FanDuel. Gilbert and Cody Freeman, or Pavetta and Josh Young, who we still don't have. Oh, let me see.
Nope.
No, we still don't have a Rangers lineup. So we're going to be going in blind probably at the end of the show here. So I won't, as a note, you are playing Rangers. Probably most will. You're going to get an alert, check the lineup. what do we got? If it's at 7:10, how many games are at 7:10? 1, 2, 3. So a lot of the games are at 7 to 7:15. There's only 3 games that are later, so you might end up getting screwed if it's not the Rangers lineup that we want. You should be able to make some substitutions within the team. But
it just came out.
Oh, it did.
Smith, Langford, Peterson, Garcia, Tellez, Young, Higashioka, Duran, Hellman.
So Young's what, 6th?
What's that?
Young 6th.
Yes. Yeah. Tellez is 5.
He's 5th.
I'm doing a quick comparison to what we had. So Langford is good. Adalis is good. Smith, Young, Higashioka, Tellez.
You want Young hitting 6th or Colt Keith hitting leadoff for the Tigers tonight?
Yes. I am still leaning towards Young, but I think Keith is probably the correct cash game choice.
Yeah, I just moved Colt Keith in over.
Yeah.
Young.
So the differences from so we had, and I see a question in YouTube on this. Cody Freeman and Osuna are the 2 Rangers that we had projected that are not in the lineup. So don't use Cody Freeman, don't use Osuna. Duran and Hellman are in the lineup in place of those 2, and they're hitting 8th and 9th. So
does that do anything? We're basically targeting the top of the stack, the guys we know that we wanted to play.
Yeah, like the 1 through 6, and maybe Higashioka, I guess, in the stack is fine, but
yeah. Well, nothing on that lineup's going to change our stance on the Rangers tonight, right?
Nope.
All right. So let's see. We got that one. Jock's 3rd. Yeah, Jock's probably like, a 0 or a 20 tonight cards, but hopefully we get the 20 side of it, right? For
0 and 4 Ks, or 0 for 4 or 1 for 4 with 3 Ks in the homer.
This will be, it looks like this is probably going to be our last question. Steve wants to know DraftKings single entry. So you want Cubs, you want a Cubs stack with no Tucker or Pete Crow Armstrong, but you got Gilbert. So Cubs minus some of the top of the lineup guys. Or do you want a 5-man Ranger stack with Shadow Man Trevor Rogers?
I want Rogers, so give me the Rangers.
Rogers and the Rangers. Does that sound good with the Shadows?
Rogers and the Rangers.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Click the like button on the way out. I think I'll be back tomorrow. Are we all back tomorrow? Or who's
No,
on?
I don't think I'm on tomorrow.
Yeah, it's I'm with you and Tim, I think.
Tim. All right. So we'll be back tomorrow for the 1 o'clock slate. Make sure to tune back for then. Again, football's coming up. Lots of tools, improvements, all the shows.
Yeah, this will be the last Sunday for MLB. So
yeah, and then Saturday switches to it's all like 6 o'clock slates, I think. So we should have it pretty easy on Saturdays, Justin. So
yeah, I'm really excited for tomorrow. Look, I love doing MLB content and stuff, but I wake up every weekend at 5 a.m. to do the big articles Saturdays and Sundays every weekend during baseball season at 5 in the morning. So I am excited that tomorrow is the last Sunday that I'll have to do that. And on football Sundays, I can sleep in a little bit longer and not have to write. So that break is always welcomed when it happens. And then, of course, it means it's football season too. So one more Sunday, we'll try to make it count.
Hat tip to you for doing that, because there's not too many people that would probably want to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to start cranking out baseball articles on Saturdays and Sundays. So thank you for doing that all season long. For me personally, Justin, and I'm sure some
appreciate it
as well. That's going to do it for tonight. For Justin and Will, I'm Britt. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we out you.